Hi, I'm Fee Marcham, Senior Manager of the Bid team here at CloudPay. Today we're going to explain what an RFP is in the context of global payroll. RFP stands for Request for Proposal. This is a formal document that you can send to potential global payroll providers to outsource your company's international payroll processes. This proposal outlines your company's specific payroll needs and expectations across all the countries you operate in. It's your roadmap to finding the best fit for you. For many multinational companies, moving from a decentralized supplier landscape to a truly global solution involves multiple and often complicated steps. Before a company can implement a new solution, it usually needs to build a business case, win internal buy-in, vet potential suppliers, and finalize an agreement with its selected payroll provider. To streamline this process, many companies use an RFP. It's a tried and tested method to ensure you select the right payroll partner for your business's circumstances. To start, we have an RFI, or a request for information. This is a high-level market assessment. You use this to understand which vendors offer what. For example, you may want a vendor who offers integrations, managed services, business process outsourcing, payments, and employer of record services. Or you may just want a vendor that offers software only. The response to the RFI will help you create a short list of vendors you want to invite to submit an RFP. Then there's the RFQ, or request for quote. These include the pricing and are used to establish the cost for the product or the service. They sometimes include high-level information such as financial status, but ultimately they're asking for a quote. Finally, there's the RFP, or request for proposal. This is a detailed vendor assessment which should ask for information on all sorts of topics, including service and support, governance, data and security, implementation, country-specific requirements, and many other subjects. So, you're about to put together a payroll RFP for your company. It might seem tempting to simply review an old RFP and take it from there, but asking yourself a few critical questions first will make all the difference in deciding the right payroll provider for you. First things first, define what you want to achieve. Don't skip the crucial step of understanding your current challenges, future objectives, and what you hope to gain from the new supplier. Take an end-to-end look at your existing circumstances and how a payroll transformation aligns with your company goals. Here's a few smart ways to start your RFP management. The first step is identifying what's not working with your current payroll model. You're unlikely to be looking for a new solution if there aren't any existing issues. So map out your pain points, such as managing too many suppliers, leading to poor visibility and control over payrolls, high rates of reruns and supplemental runs, inflating costs, poor integration with HR solutions, IT challenges causing user experience and functionality issues, compliance gaps risking data security. Next, what is your payroll team or business trying to achieve? Bear in mind, a global payroll transformation will impact your entire company. Are you aiming to decrease payroll errors and costs with automation, support global expansion, eliminate shadow payrolls, reduce payroll headcount by consolidating your payroll, reduce IT bandwidth needs by shifting to the cloud, integrate with a new ERP or HCM solution, gain a global view of payroll costs and performance, enhance data security and compliance by standardizing pan-global processes. Finally, develop your internal RFP strategy. Ask yourself questions like, what's your target date for having your new solution implemented? Is it realistic? Which countries are included in the scope and should any be left out of the change project? How long will you give your suppliers to respond? Who's involved in creating the RFP and reviewing the responses? Do you have an existing shortlist of suppliers? How will you evaluate the submissions? Do you have executive buy-in and budget approval? Work out these answers and gather your data. Consider your resources and set metrics. Decide how many proposals to review and the effort needed for a thorough evaluation. Even 4 RFPs can be a lot to review. Some suppliers could be eliminated based on easily accessible information. By engaging in more thoughtful, strategic thinking in advance of developing your RFP, you'll set your company up for greater success in supplier selection. The information you provide in your RFP will dictate how smoothly and efficiently you can move through the supplier selection process. Before asking your questions, your RFP should include business background. Share your company's size, growth plans, industry and specialties. Project overview. Outline what your RFP project is about and the change you are looking to make. Specific goals. Clearly define what you aim to achieve. Services and solutions required. Be sure to specify any non-negotiables. Evaluation criteria. Establish the criteria you are going to use for evaluating the responses and explain how proposals will be graded. Statement of work. Describe the tasks to be performed by the winning bidder. Supplier selection timeline. Specify your deadline for receiving responses, ideally a minimum of 4 weeks, and provide a reasonable timeline for the selection process. Full project timeline. Make sure to include key milestones for negotiation, implementation, and onboarding. Use clear, concise language and provide detailed specifications. The clearer and more realistic your information, the better the outcome will be. If you omit critical information, like a full statement of work, you are likely to encounter problems when finalising the contract. At an absolute minimum, your RFP should specify what your company is looking for and establish the criteria for evaluating responses. We've looked at the questions you should ask yourself before starting your RFP process and the information you should include in your global payroll RFP. But now let's cover the essential questions to ask in your RFP. First, get specific. Many RFPs are packed with generic questions that may not always be relevant. Instead, focus on what matters most to your company's needs, goals, scope, and budget. As you develop your RFP, drill down into the priorities of your global payroll change project. Take a strategic approach to payroll. Make sure you understand what's needed for each of the following departments: HR, IT, finance, operations, and payroll. For larger companies, consider other areas like benefits administration and shared services. Depending on what's important to your company, you might ask questions about any of the following features or functions: system compatibilities, uptime or service coverage needs, tech capabilities, process controls, automation, efficiency enhancers, data analytics tools, improved user experience and integrations, licenses and certifications, workflows and product roadmaps. Trim out both generic filler questions and duplicate questions from your RFP. Whether revising your template or creating a new one, ensure every question aligns with a specific piece of information you need to know. For every RFP question, know the exact answer you're looking for and construct your questions to get those specific helpful answers. For example, instead of asking, "Describe your process for post-payroll verification," you might find your question answered more clearly by asking, "Will you notify our payroll approvers when approvals are needed? If so, how?" Also, ask follow-up questions that highlight what sets each supplier apart. Instead of just, "What reporting and analytics capabilities do you offer?" follow up with additional questions like, "Can users create custom reports? If so, how? Is there a cost?" However, try to avoid asking too many things in the same question. Like the example above, there should be no more than 3 short questions that relate specifically to each other. Otherwise, the question set can become confusing and will result in diluted and unclear answers. Ask with purpose. Avoid broad questions that yield vague answers. You've identified the specific information your team needs. Use your RFP questions to get the information from potential providers. Crafting the right RFP questions will set you up for a successful supplier selection, so start refining your RFP questions today.